Scottie Scheffler is the favorite to win the Masters this year. Come chill with me as I make this design for him and get better at graphic design. Okay, the first thing that I did was I used the generative AI tools to expand the image. It's really cool that we can do this nowadays. You know, I don't think anybody would have thought of this 10 years ago, and now it's just a thing that we do on the regular when we're graphic designing. I think that's pretty cool. I also got rid of the players logo right here because I wanted this to be more centered around the Masters, and I didn't want to have different tournaments in the same graphic. So that's what I did for that. Okay, after that, I put all of the images together. I've had 3 images right here. One is the background that we've already worked on, and then there's 2 other pretty good pictures of Scottie. I had to remove the background and it removed his golf club, so I manually masked that myself just with the paintbrush tool. This is a pretty long process. This is sped up about 800 times. So yeah, it took me a while. After I was done with that, I wanted to make sure he was like fading into the background. So I took my gradient tool on the layer mask and setting it to black and white, I can make him fade into the background. So that's what I did with that. I'm recording this on Tuesday, April 9th. The Masters starts tomorrow, the practice rounds, and then of course Sunday is the big day for that. I'm pretty excited to watch it this year. A lot of people don't watch golf tournaments except for the Masters, so that's why I figured it would be good to make a graphic for the Masters. So right here I'm making a gradient map of Scottie. The top 2 pictures I wanted to be in black and white, and I feel like this is the best way to do it. As you can see, it took me a while to experiment with the colors, but this is what I came up with, and I think I really like it right now. However, I wanted the picture on the bottom to be in color. I wanted more emphasis on that because that's where our text is gonna go. And originally I did the brush tool and I just kind of brushed out this on a layer mask, but I decided to go with the gradient tool, and it took me a while to get something that I wanted exactly because I want mainly the bottom of the image to be in focus, and it was just a little tough using the gradient mask tool to get exactly what I wanted. I got it after a few minutes. So this graphic took me about 45 minutes to complete, and most of it was just playing around with the colors. As you can see, for a while I put like a more tannish color in the background. I ended up changing that back, but just for now we have that in the background. Color in graphic design is something I'm trying to get a lot better at, you know, color grading, choosing the right colors for a design, and I'm still very much learning the whole design process, so that's why it takes me so long to do things like this. But anyway, next I thought it would be cool to add some motion blur to him swinging his driver, so I went up to Camera Raw Filter, and they have this newer feature called Lens Blur that you can use, and when I adjusted the settings with what the focal point would be, it put this really cool blur on his driver that I really liked. It makes it look like it's in motion, it's moving, and I really like that. We were able to go from kind of a basic picture of somebody swinging a driver to a really more aesthetically pleasing picture, and I really like it. So now we're gonna go over to Illustrator because I wanted to do the text part of this in Illustrator. It's just easier for me to do it, and then I just copy and paste it over to Photoshop. The font I ended up going with was Adele, something like that, Adele Sans. And I decided to do only the stroke around it. I think this makes it look a lot more premium, a lot more clean. And after that, I tried to mask out his foot in Illustrator. It didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to, so I used the eraser tool actually to make sure that the text was behind his foot, and it actually created a pretty cool effect that I quite like actually, because the text is kind of warped around his foot as opposed to just being behind it, and I think that looks pretty cool. After that, I pulled up a picture of his signature and I vectorized that using image trace and then separated it so I could only use his first name for the signature. I want to put it right next to his last name. I think the combination of the script and the bold font really makes it look nice. And then of course I had to put the Masters logo back in. We're back in Photoshop, by the way. I think this is a really neat Masters logo as opposed to the yellow one. I think it looks a little more premium, so I put that in the top left corner. Okay, so here's the design so far. This is kind of my finished product for now. However, I wasn't really that happy with it and I couldn't figure out what it was. So it took me a while to figure out that it was the color. So I went back into my computer and I edited it a little bit off camera, and I'll show you what I came up with. Okay, so here's what I came up with. I ended up making the background more black and white. This is what I originally did, and for some reason I went kind of overboard with the gradient map. I turned it to tan, and I'll show you the before and after in a second, but I think the black and white really looks a lot better, as you can see. I'm a high schooler learning graphic design, so sometimes it takes me a while to really get that final image exactly what I want it to be. Again, here's what it looked like before. As you can see, it looks alright. The composition is pretty good in my opinion. I just don't like the color at all. So we changed it back to this, and I think it's really good like that. Additionally, on the bottom, I created more of an emphasis on it by upping the saturation of the image. In my opinion, that just makes more of an emphasis down here on the text and on the player, which I think is the coolest part of this design. I really like the lower third of it. So that's why I created more of a vibrant image down there. We still have the Masters logo, but I cropped it a little bit. I cropped the whole image. I just wanted to kind of eliminate the wasted space that was in the back. As you can see, it just needed to be cleaned up a little more. That was the whole thing with this design for me. Again, I'm a high schooler learning graphic design, so it's really a learning experience for me. All design is a learning experience for me. So I'm really glad you watched this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, you can like. If you really liked it, you can subscribe and watch all of my other videos. This is episode 2. Thank you.